All right, let's jump right in. Today we're unpacking a truly wild human experiment. We're looking at a high-stakes test of pressure, ego, and pure survival that pushes people to their absolute limits. Welcome to this explainer where we're going to break down exactly what happens when you strip away every single comfort of modern life, put life-changing money on the line, and force two complete opposites to coexist.
Seriously, I want you to honestly ask yourself, could you do it? Just imagine being physically trapped in a tiny, totally exposed space up in the sky for an entire month. You've got $250,000 hanging in the balance. Every gust of wind, every freezing night is a threat. And to make it infinitely harder, you're stuck with a total stranger. A stranger whose single mistake could literally ruin the whole thing for you.
Part 1. Trapped in the sky. The baseline. Right from day one, the stakes are just astronomical. Falling means losing everything, and just surviving means battling freezing rain and wind 24/7. This brutal environment introduces us to our two competitors, who could not be more different. On one hand, you have Allison. She's a hardworking construction worker who desperately wants the prize money to start a business with her brother. And then you have Angus. He's a reality TV star from the UK who openly admits he grew up around money, doesn't really care about it, and actually claims he's happiest when he's completely broke. It perfectly sets the stage for two wildly different personal journeys right from the starting line.
Now here is the crazy catch to all of this. There's a totally devious psychological incentive baked into the rules. Normally, teammates work together to split a prize, right? Well, not here. If one person quits or gets eliminated, the challenge keeps going, and the remaining person gets to keep the entire $250,000 all to themselves. Think about that. They are literally financially rewarded if they can push their partner to the breaking point.
Part 2. The downward spiral. The shrinking world.
As the days drag on, the weather just absolutely batters their flimsy tents. The physical misery quickly becomes psychological torture. By day 2, the freezing wind and rain get so bad, they actually have to hide inside a portable toilet just to find shelter. Sleep deprivation sets in fast, leading directly into day 5, where they face their first massive elimination challenge. The crucial thing about this day 5 challenge is the insane asymmetry of the risk. The task itself is simple. Throw a tennis ball, hit a target. Hit it, and you get amazing upgraded luxury tents to escape the cold. But miss? Failure doesn't just mean you don't get the reward. It means your physical world literally shrinks. Every failure instantly triggers the permanent removal of 25% of your platform floor. The pressure is just suffocating. Allison steps up, and miraculously, she nails her throw on the first try. But Angus, he totally chokes. He lets the pressure get to him, overthinks the whole thing, and misses all 3 of his shots. And just like that, a quarter of their floor drops straight into the abyss. This single failure completely fractures the team dynamic. Angus goes into this rapid downward spiral of guilt and self-doubt. Every morning he has to stare at that missing floor, realizing he's becoming a massive liability. He is completely consumed by his own lack of focus.
But in stark contrast, Allison's reaction is entirely different. She goes from a frustrated teammate to a hyper-focused, ruthless survivor. Hearing Angus casually dismiss the money, combined with his massive mistake, gives her a totally new game plan. She realizes she doesn't just want half the cash anymore. She wants the whole thing, and she sets her sights on simply outlasting him.
Things get even more intense on day 10 with a grueling 24-hour endurance test. A giant saw blade is slowly lowering toward a rope that's holding 30 days' worth of luxury food. They have to periodically press a red button to reset the saw. This requires absolute unwavering trust because they have to take turns sleeping. If the rope cuts, the food drops, and another quarter of their floor gets destroyed.
Allison takes the first sleep shift, putting her full trust in her partner. But tragically, Angus lets his eyes glaze over and falls asleep at the wheel. The saw cuts the rope. They lose the life-changing food and, painfully, another huge chunk of their living space is unscrewed and dropped. They're now surviving on just 50% of their original platform.
Part 3. The Fall of Angus. Risk versus Reputation. By this point, Angus is completely consumed by failure. He's openly talking about quitting because he feels he's only making things worse. But then, on day 13, there's a surprise airdrop of Jack Link's beef sticks. It seems like a little thing, but real food breaks the misery of their awful rations. It sparks this massive mental reset for Angus on day 14. He wakes up feeling like he has a real chance to redeem himself, which sets the stage perfectly for day 15.
an opportunity for redemption that carries the ultimate risk. The Day 15 challenge is a 30-foot balance beam suspended 100 feet in the air. Walk across it and back, and they win back the upgraded tents and the food they lost. But if whoever walks it falls, they're instantly eliminated from the entire experiment. Despite his terrible track record with challenges up here, Angus lets his ego and his desperate need to save face drive his decision. He completely insists on taking the beam.
And that ego costs him everything. Suspended 100 feet up, his legs start shaking uncontrollably. The beam wobbles, he loses his balance, and he plunges off. Just like that, halfway through the month, Angus is eliminated, leaving his fate and his share of the money completely behind.
Part 4. Surviving Solo, the Ultimate Test.
Now the entire dynamic flips. Allison is completely alone in the sky on a tiny, half-destroyed platform. The physical danger is replaced by an absolutely grueling psychological one. She has to manage crushing isolation and extreme boredom. Worse, they introduce a new daily challenge. A balloon rises at unpredictable times toward a bed of spikes. She has to shoot it with a bow and arrow. If she misses and it pops on the spikes, she loses even more of her remaining floor. It's a constant 24/7 mental drain that just slowly eats away at her sanity and her physical space.
Part 5. The final choice, ego versus reality.
Through pure grit, Allison survives those awful solo days, hitting her targets and enduring the elements. She even manages to find a hidden $50,000 Starbucks gift card the creator stashed on the platform. So on the final day, after an entire month of total physical and mental exhaustion, she has secured a guaranteed $300,000 in total value. The host offers her the chance to safely walk away. Mission accomplished.
But then comes the ultimate temptation. The host brings back the exact same 30-foot balance beam that defeated Angus. The offer? She can double her cash prize to $500,000 if she crosses the beam and comes back. But if she falls, just like Angus did, she loses every single penny she just spent 30 days agonizing over.
This right here is the ultimate crucible of the entire challenge. Allison is staring down the exact trap that broke her partner. She knows she's basically the finish line, but the allure of doubling that money is incredibly intoxicating. She spots the internal battle right away, literally saying she hates that her ego is trying to convince her to risk it. She has to choose, the toxic ego that ruined Angus or the practical, grounded resilience that kept her alive.
And she makes the brilliant decision to reject the gamble. She drops the check, conquers her ego, and locks in her guaranteed prize. And what's amazingly poetic is that a few minutes later, safely secured to a harness just for fun, she tries to walk the beam. She gets halfway out, the beam wobbles, and she falls. It proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that conquering her own ego in that critical moment was the actual key to her survival and her fortune.
So what's your big takeaway from this wild psychological journey? You know, it's really easy to judge from the ground. But when the stakes are at their absolute highest and $500,000 is dangling right in front of your face, do you have the self-awareness to know when to walk away? It's a fascinating look at human nature, ego, and the real cost of pushing your luck. Thanks for hanging out for this explainer, and I hope it leaves you thinking about the balance beams in your own life.